Serious Survivor here. Today we're going to talk about items that will make excellent barter items in a post-apocalyptic scenario or world. This video also assumes that one already has the appropriate skills and personal gear or standard bug-out supplies. The first half of the video will be a list of 10 categories or groups of items for those who can secure their location and have the capacity to stay in a fixed position and who are bugging in only. The second half we will focus on things necessary or beneficial for those who cannot stay in one place and are faced with having to bug out. The ones who have bugging in as their only option or have the means to secure a location and have the money to purchase years and years of supplies will already have these means to barter and trade. This video focuses on those who cannot afford to prepare on a massive level or stockpile goods. Also those who may be forced to bug out and leave their location or their bunker. When an apocalyptic event first occurs, the need to trade or barter items may not be predominant. Yet after the dust settles and the world has entered the rebuilding or stabilization phase, the need to trade and acquire goods and services will be a stipulation as a part of the normal life that has become our new future. Life takes twists and turns in an ordinary environment. So in SHTF, we can only imagine the variations and unexpected difficulties that can and will arise. No one can be prepared for everything, but everyone can train and gain the skills required for basic subsistence while affording themselves and their families with what they will need for a continued existence. Keep in mind though, bartering is dangerous, especially in a post-apocalyptic without rule of law environment, because once you have begun to barter or negotiate a trade of any kind, the person you're trading with knows what types of goods you have. It would be a good idea not to tip your hand, or basically only give the absolute minimum amount of information as possible. With bartering, always use extreme caution. Always give the appearance that the goods you may be trading are of limited supply. And when bartering, never barter unarmed. Be prepared to defend the items you are trading and be ready to use force if the deal turns sour. Always approach a barter situation like a military combat situation. Know your points of entry and points of escape. Formulate a plan as to what you will do when things go bad. Always attempt to negotiate in a familiar location and know what route to take if retreat is necessary. Back this up with secondary and alternate routes. Also, never barter or negotiate alone if possible. Have at least one more person by your side, preferably more than one, and also have at the very least 1 to 2 persons monitoring the situation from afar, or basically snipers. Not trying to sound paranoid, but it's better to be safe than sorry. After all, we are talking about the apocalypse, and people will most likely not be that nice, especially when you have supplies that they want or need. Assumption leads to mistakes. Complacency leads to unexpected results, and one mistake can lead to death or at the very least the loss of your supplies. Be careful, be prepared, and be firm. To show weakness or fear often results in being tried and being tested. Let's look at a list of common items that will definitely make excellent selections for trading commodities if you are able to stockpile these substances and remain in a protected, undisclosed, and static location. These are broad categories, and some needs can and will be different depending on your geographic location, but most of these items are items that would have to be stored in a secure setting because most items are not the types of items that can easily be carried with you. So if you have the ability, money, and means to buy a bunker and store items, and if you are able to stay at your primary location, then the first list we look at will be excellent choices for barter and for survival and convenience. 1. Food. Food will very likely be one of the most valuable supplies one can possess. And more people will fight over this in the early stages than they will over most other types of items. This covers any and all types of food from the standard MRE and long-term food storage types, canned goods, airtight dry goods, and even fresh food if one has the means to grow it, hunt it, or acquire it. Water purification items. Water purification and gathering will be a necessity. One who controls the water may very well control everything. Having safe and sanitary drinking water is an obvious requirement. Although this is a skill and does require specific items, things such as tablets, chemicals, devices, filters, a lot of people do not and will not have the means or knowledge to purify water, thus making this an extremely valuable commodity. 3. Tobacco. For obvious reasons, tobacco will also be an excellent item for trading. Stored in its pure or natural form or in any processed form such as cigarettes, cigars, and Prince Albert types. Even though it may seem the need for this will greatly diminish when SHTF, there will always be those who are willing to trade items for luxuries such as these. 4. Alcohol. Alcohol has many uses and will be a good item to stockpile. Alcohol in all forms, isopropyl, rubbing alcohol, and all forms of drinking alcohol. This can be for somewhat medical reasons, sterilization, accelerants, and drinking. Either way, people will trade for this. Medical supplies. These speak for themselves. These types of supplies will always be an excellent item or items to have available for trade. As the post-apocalyptic world develops, the need for these supplies will increase and will also bring a very high trading value. Things such as the basics, bandages, splints, antibiotics, pain reliever, stitching kits, surgical kits, first aid kits, basically anything that can aid in first aid techniques. Medication will also be an excellent commodity and will probably fetch a hefty price in this type of market. 6. Gold, silver, and precious metals. Although during the early phases these precious metals may not seem like the best barter item, they probably will not be. But once things begin to somewhat stabilize, well, gold and silver are, after all, gold and silver. They will definitely have value when people begin rebuilding. Storing these types of items is definitely something to keep to yourself. I would personally recommend silver over gold, but that's another video as to why. 7. Firearms. Although this may be a dangerous area, there will definitely be a need for firearms. There will be a market for firearms and weapons of any type. Even the cheapest firearm today can be tremendously valuable in the apocalypse. This will probably be one of the most expensive items. A working firearm will bring a very good price when SHTF. Use extreme caution when barter or trade with firearms. Ammunition. The demand for ammunition may be higher than that of the firearms themselves. The reason is a lot of people already possess firearms, and in a without rule of law environment, these people will or should take care of these and obtain new ones when possible. A person actually only needs one reliable pistol and maybe one reliable long gun. One can only fire one rifle at a time, but that rifle can fire hundreds of rounds per minute, and over the course of several years could easily add up to thousands of rounds of ammo, thus the need for more, making ammo high on the list of valuable barter items. Hygiene supplies. These will be toothpaste, brushes, toilet paper, soap, detergent, any other type of hygiene product that you can store. The need for proper hygiene in the apocalypse will be greater than ever. We all know that there are multiple types of health issues that can arise from bad personal hygiene. These items may not seem like a prodigious item, but in a time of anxiety, people will want and need items like these. 10. Clothing and shoes. It seems today like clothing and shoes are available everywhere, but when the factories and production lines stop, a good pair of boots or shoes will be a valuable commodity, especially in areas that are subject to colder weather. Clothing and shoes can make the difference between life and death. These are excellent items. If one is able or capable of staying in a fixed location, then it would be a good idea to pick up and store various items from each category. Although it is not feasible to have all of the items we talked about, one can easily acquire and store numerous items from each category to give them the greatest flexibility when trading. Remember though, try not to tip your hand and let too many people know what you have. Depending on the event and the circumstances of the aftermath, one may not have the option of staying in their primary location or even their secondary location. For those that are forced to bug out, or for those that have purely decided that bugging out is their best or only option, then it would not be possible to carry many of the items discussed earlier on their person. In this case, someone may want or need to keep smaller types of gear or items. Granting, this reinforces the absolute necessity of having your bug out gear properly planned out and stored before an event. Remember, gear never takes the place of skills, ever. Yet here we will detail some items that will at least give you some options for procuring supplies that you may not be able to normally carry with you. Sometimes there will be dynamics that we haven't prepared for, certain situations that may arise in which we're not equipped for, or for circumstances that one doesn't personally have the precise skills and training or supplies to handle. In these cases, having things that we could typically use but also afford to trade would allow us to have the flexibility to attain the things that we find compulsory at that moment to aid in survival. 5 important and valuable things that can easily be taken with you. 5. Seeds. Seeds are valuable for obvious reasons, although many people who are even somewhat prepared may already have these. These, in my opinion, would be more of a long-term goal. By that I mean trading these seeds would probably be to a farmer of sorts, would allow you to supply them with suitable seeds for growth, and in return you could ask for a small percentage of the overall crop. If you're staying in that area, this would be a good investment in your long-term survival. 4. Precious metals. I don't like to mention a category twice, but this is a set of items that take up very little space and have overall relatively small mass. Under the right conditions, these can have tremendous value. 3. Gun parts. These may seem like a bad idea to trade, but in a moment it'll make sense. First, this goes back to preparation. Keeping and maintaining firearms that are not only accurate but reliable too gives one a distinct advantage. Yet no matter how reliable the weapon, eventually we will be faced with the likelihood of a failure. Parts kit for your weapon is a prerequisite to being prepared in this expanse. Many parts for different weapons are interchangeable, such as some of the springs and pins. A small parts kit is comprised of the smaller components, which are usually the parts that are common to break. These are a good idea in a valued item. If the frame or barrel of your weapon is badly damaged or broken, there isn't much you can do, but if the trigger spring breaks, this can easily be replaced. Parts kits for the most common weapons are not very expensive. They can range from about $29.99 to as much as you would like to spend. A very common rifle in the United States is the AR-15 and similar design, and most of these are mil-spec, which means they are made to military specifications and the parts are interchangeable. Common types of pistols are the 1911, Smith & Wesson, Taurus, and Ruger revolvers, and Glock. If you already have the firearm of your choice, then obtaining the kit's essential to support your decision. But if you're contemplating purchasing a firearm or firearms, then it's not a bad idea to look at some of the types mentioned earlier. These types are very common and popular, and for good reason. The reason gun parts will be considered a trading commodity is due to their size and in the fact of how truly valuable they will be to someone with a malfunctioning weapon. It's also very easy to store these. The average lower parts kit for the AR-15 can be stored in a container as small as a cigarette pack with a little room to spare. I have a pouch on the stock of my rifle. In that pouch I have 2 parts kits for me, and I also have 2 more for trading purposes or to help someone in my group. It's a good idea to have at least one for your choice of pistol, and they're also small so one can easily store 1 or 2 more for trade purposes. This item is a win-win situation. If one never has the need to attempt barter with these, then one will always have spare parts for that weapon. But when barter is necessary or beneficial, someone with a broken or damaged weapon will very possibly be open to trading something you really need or want for these items. These take up a very small amount of space and have a relatively low mass. These can also be easily attained by anyone. Very important items and very valuable ones. 2. Electricity. Although we can't carry electricity with us, we can easily keep devices on hand that do produce electricity. There are many devices on the market that can give one the ability to achieve this goal. If the event is an EMP or one is within a certain range of a nuclear weapon detonation, then this category may be useless. But if devices still function and there is no power readily available, then this category can be highly valuable. Having the ability to charge people's devices for them will be a form of barter that only requires the device you use to perform the charging with. This means that you could theoretically charge thousands of devices for people, thus receiving thousands of supplies in return for payment, yet you are only using one device. Plus, one also has the ability to charge their own equipment. This is a valuable resource, and people will trade excellent items to be able to listen to their MP3 player and their favorite song just one more time. This category, you give nothing away and always gain something in return. These devices range from small solar panels, even folding or rolled up panels, hand charging devices, and similar. All are relatively small and available at affordable prices on today's market, yet these will be priceless when the grid goes down. The number one item you can carry with you: skills and knowledge. Knowing how to do something can be as valuable as any physical item. Training is essential and knowledge is the key. If one has a full set of skills, building fire, purifying water, building shelter, hunting, trapping, fishing, mechanical or repair, gunsmithing, plant recognition, and other skills, having skills such as these will give you the opportunity to not only perform tasks for people, but also opens the door to offer training to people. Give a man a fish, and he can eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, and he can feed himself forever. Also, if you're a skilled hunter, then the pelts, furs, skins of animals can also have inordinate value. Not to mention the bones, horns, antlers, and the teeth are also used for handles and other devices. The fat from some animals can be used in cooking and also making soap for those that can perform that task. And that's not to mention they provide food, which can also be used for trading results. Either way, training or working, having a well-rounded skill set gives one the ability to earn or receive the goods or supplies they have the need for, and once again, this doesn't require you giving away any gear or supplies of your own. A win-win situation. You teach someone how to do something or you do it for them. You have given nothing but your time and knowledge, and not only will your services be compensated, the person will also have gratitude towards you or your group. There are always more things that can be added. One of the most important aspects of survival is to know yourself and your environment. Understanding what you can and cannot do. This is the key to surviving. I hope this video was informative, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Check out the website, SeriouSurvivor.com, for some valuable information and thousands of free downloads every day, all the time. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and Serious Survivor, out.